Work, an excellent book by Cal
sorry, Sam, got a notification.
Oh my God.
Oh, wake up, rethink the status quo. When you get your money right, then you're the one who runs your life. Come build a wealthy spirit with Sammy and Michelle.
We are calling your butt out because I need to call my butt out.
Here we go.
We need to get off social media. This is a hair on fire problem.
I agree with you, Sammy.
Yes, I've always been anti-social media. Please see previous episodes of this podcast. But I have fell into the trap again. Fell in and out, and I'm back here to talk about social media because that's how important this problem is. It's taking over the world, and we are not going to let it take over us.
Here's the thing. If you are sitting there at any point in the day, you aren't even thinking, your finger twitches. You pick up your phone. You take your index finger. You scroll. You scroll. You scroll. You go on Instagram. You go to TikTok. I often notice that if I open up those apps, all of a sudden I go into this blackout of tiny dancers, Skims reviews, and people telling me story time about something crazy that I know they made up, and yet for some reason I'm listening. Then the blackout ends. 1 hour later, my time has been wasted.
Wasted.
We need to stop this.
What had happened was, I thought it would be a good idea for us to get back on social media, and by us I mean me, to get back on social media just to help spread the word about our podcast.
Let me tell you something. I had gone through this, so I knew what was happening. But like the child touching the hot stove, I knew Sammy had to go through this journey herself.
Bad idea. Turns out, it doesn't even seem like the same audience that watches Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube Shorts overlaps that much with podcasts. And also, it takes a lot of effort to create these videos. Next thing you know, you're seeing how many people watch the videos. You're telling yourself that maybe you need to watch videos to get ideas. It's all terrible. And it doesn't really translate into listeners. So guess what? I'm off social media again. Sorry, the podcast is not really active on those platforms. But think of this as authenticity. We line up with our values. We do not believe in being on social media.
Let's get into it. I'm so excited to talk about our partner, Riverside. Because here's the thing. If you're thinking to yourself, I am a consumer. I am watching tons of tiny 15-second videos, and I want to be more productive with my time. I want to share things that I'm learning. Riverside is for you. It's a platform that records audio and video like this beautiful long-form podcast, Build a Wealthy Spirit. We've used Riverside from the beginning, and we're able to record with each other. We're able to invite guests from across the world. They can just buzz in, and it doesn't even matter if our internet connection is bad, their internet connection is bad, because it's downloaded locally on both of our computers, and we're able to take those tracks, edit it, and put together an amazing podcast for you. We know it's a new year. People are thinking, I might want to make a podcast. And Sammy and I really believe, make it as easy as possible for yourself. Get yourself a mic, get yourself Riverside, record those interviews, and if you want, you can even play around with our AI transcription tools. Use the link in our show notes to get started. Sammy, I know why you got into a position where you thought maybe I can manage an Instagram for our podcast.
I thought this is a one and done thing. I can just post something, leave it alone, post something else, leave it alone. And I was so wrong. One, I thought I needed to get ideas so that I'm posting things that are relevant. That's a waste of time. Two, I wanted to see how people were responding. Also a waste of time. I thought I could use these platforms in moderation, and really, there is no moderation.
Here's the thing. And you go on the street and you ask people, is Instagram addictive? Is Facebook addictive? Is TikTok addictive? They might say, every single person is going to say, yeah, no duh. Not many people are unaware of the fact that these platforms are super addictive. And here's the problem, Sammy, that I think you fell into. We think because we know these things, you and I specifically, right? We are deep in the anti-social media world. We think, hey, I'm smarter than social media. I can actually game the system and make it work for me. And that's just not the case.
Tristan Harris, a former Google employee who is the founder of the Center for Humane Technology, talks a lot about this. we watched this awesome PBS interview that he did where he discusses social media. And the truth is, we all have this perception that we can be smarter than social media. But even the people who create social media know that they are vulnerable to its addictiveness.
It's true. Steve Jobs, for example, didn't give his kids iPads. The man invented iPads. They know that these tools are not going to actually benefit their children. Imagine you're an engineer at Instagram. You know that the infinite scroll is addictive. You are using, as Tristan Harris says, he went to a class specifically about persuasive technology and how to use that in building these tools.
That's right. They had a class at Stanford called Persuasive Technology. A little concerning.
A little concerning. I'm sure that class doesn't exist anymore. Hopefully. Hopefully, at least we pretend like we are not okay with these problematic things. But the point is it doesn't matter. You could build a slot machine and you would still know that if you started gambling, you would start to find it addictive. And I think that's what happened to you, Sammy. It's what happened to me when I tried to manage my social media account. I was like, yeah, I'm on Instagram, but I know it's addictive. I know that these are tiny, boring videos that I don't even find that interesting. And yet, all of a sudden, time flies. All of a sudden, I get unregulated. I'm bored, I'm hungry, I reach for my phone, and I want to swipe, and I want to scroll. And it's crazy how quickly it goes back to that.
The reason these platforms are so addictive is because they are centered around advertising. Advertising is the goal. And since advertising is the goal, your attention, your eyeballs are valuable.
Exactly. The more time you spend on a platform, the more ads they can show you. The more ads they show you, the more you are likely to buy those things. And if I think you're going to buy my product after seeing it 5 times on Instagram, I'm going to pay for that. And that's how these models work.
I think this is demonstrated in this recent visual capitalist schema that came out. It showed the top 100 most valuable brands. And I love visual capitalists because they always make it in little circles or little images that are visually understandable. And if you look at these top 10 brands, almost all of them have to do with products that ultimately revolve around having your attention.
100%. Apple's number one. Your phone, many people's phone, the holder of everything, where you go and purchase your apps, the platform that is the home for all of these things. Micro, Google, Amazon, they each have their own issues, but that also is a cloud right there. Everything that holds all this stuff online. Things, by the way, none of this stuff existed when we were growing up.
Then we have 5, Samsung. 6, the only one that's not really part of this, ironically, Walmart. Walmart is the most authentic company in this list. It sells products. You go to the store and you buy them. It's not necessarily trying to steal your attention, to our knowledge.
And you know what? Let me tell you something. Walmart still knows about persuasive marketing because every time we're checking out there, Sammy buys a chapstick. The last 6 times we were checking out there, Sammy bought herself a chapstick at the last minute. So they're doing something right.
7, TikTok. 8, Facebook.
It's crazy. Literally, these top companies, they don't feed nobody.
This isn't food. This isn't your car. This isn't gasoline. This is literally eyeballs. This is eyeballs. Eyeballs are funding the economy. And that's why you're not smarter than it. The smartest people are not curing cancer. They're not solving climate change. They want to go work at these top companies which pay the most, and those companies center around eyeballs.
Exactly. And the point of all that is not that these companies shouldn't exist. The point is that you, sitting in your chair, even though you know that social media is addictive, even though you know that when you go on these platforms, you're being attacked with advertisements that are so specifically tailored to you, not even just advertisements, now it's every video is tailored to you. If you go on TikTok, they know what you want to watch because they're taking your data. They're figuring out, okay, Michelle, she's probably Indian because they serve me up Indian dance videos in about 5 seconds every time if I have to go on the app. And they just know these things about you because they're taking their data, they're analyzing it, they got these powerful algorithms because the smartest people in the world are working on this stuff. And you sitting there, you might be smart. You're not smarter than hundreds of engineers with billions of dollars using supercomputers, trying to figure out a way to keep you online for 10 more seconds.
So here's the problems with all this. Number one, it's a waste of our time.
And we don't mean this generally speaking, right? Like, of course, yes, it's not the most productive thing that you can do. But the truth is, we only have a certain amount of time on this earth, right? Maybe 4,000 weeks, according to Oliver Burkeman's book of the same title. And we are spending hours not with our families, not with our friends, not out in nature, but focused on a tiny screen in our hands, watching things that are pretty mediocre in content. Like, yeah, you might get a laugh now and then. Maybe somebody tells you something interesting, but it's not a good use of your time. Like, I don't think most people think, hey, how do I wish I was spending more of my time? Oh, on social media. Nobody thinks that, but we're pulled into it so easily.
And when we pick up our phone, maybe we're sitting in an Uber, it seems like it's going to be more productive or more stimulating or more entertaining to look at something on your phone. But really, it's distracting and it's preventing you from doing things like even just thinking and reflecting.
Exactly, Sammy. And I like what Tristan Harris says in his interview. Like, how we feel is actually unique to all of us, right? So next time you catch yourself having spent a chunk of time, maybe unintentionally on social media, tune into how you are feeling after using your phone. How do you feel? I know for me, my body is usually tired and uncomfortable because I'm in some weird position. My eyes glazed over. I feel dumber because I just spent all this time watching content that was watered down for the masses to keep me entertained ASAP. And I hate that I lose time. I love being productive. I love sitting and thinking. I love exercising. I don't want to turn off my brain, even if that means I have to sit in boredom for a couple minutes before I figure out what I'm doing next.
Social media also skews our values.
This, I think, is so important, Sammy. Something we talk on Build a Wealthy Spirit is how we really think that people should build a life that's aligned with your values. Because I don't know what type of life you want. I don't know what type of life Sammy wants. I can only take the time to self-reflect and think about what I want. But social media is keeping up with the Jonases on cocaine. Okay? And I mean the Jonases, okay? Because you know what? When Joe Jonas and his wife broke up, all of a sudden everybody's online and they're talking about he said, she said, now there's a smear campaign, now she's out with Taylor Swift. Okay, no, you don't need to know all that stuff. But on top of that, it's also very materialistic. You go into people's homes and you see, okay, they have the Thun Japanese bed frame that I saw trending on Instagram. You go into someone's home and it's like walking outside of an Instagram ad because there's all of these different things that people have been told that they should want because they don't even have to see their neighbors have it. They just have to log online and see that Kylie Jenner is using it.
I think the products are like the final manifestation of the unoriginality that is social media. Like when you see people with Stanley mugs and figs, Fabletics, although I do love my Fabletics, Gymshark.
And yeah, where'd you hear about Fabletics first?
Exactly. It was social media. Like, it's almost like you don't want to be seen with those things because it's just like a label, like I'm a giant mark for social media.
And look, we are all marks, okay? Yes, I did consider maybe I should get that perfume that apparently makes your husband want to take you to the backseat and you. But let me tell you something.
Yeah, I don't know why Michelle and I have both been targeted with this advertisement.
It's on Pinterest.
I don't know if it's just going around to everybody or if
I hope it's going around to everybody.
Searching something that makes this come to us. Like they know we're Indian and they know we want to know about this pheromone perfume.
I don't know how those things are related to each other, but I definitely, like, you know, I'm like watching it and I'm like, wow. And then like 5 seconds later, I'm like, these are definitely fake videos. Like, you know,
the response is always the same. So it's like 100% fake.
Yeah, exactly. But then 2 days later, I'm like, man, maybe I should get that pheromone perfume that I'm sure doesn't smell good. And here's the thing. Here's the reason why it's important that it skews your values. One, you turn your brain off. You're now just letting a tiny little phone with 1,000 videos tell you what you should think, and it's prevent you from doing things that maybe you would like to do, like spend time with more people that you love, like your family members or your friend's new baby. You're not exercising, you're not moving. I mean, at the least, maybe you're at the gym exercising and moving. My God, me and Sammy were in this yoga class filled with people.
Sweaty people.
Sweaty people.
Like extremely sweaty. Like this is the most amount of sweat. And if you're grossed out by sweat, sorry, mom. That's our mom. this is going to be a little traumatic, but like, honestly, it was a pool of sweat. Like the entire ground was covered in sweat.
Yeah, and the young woman next to me was on her phone. She literally had her phone in front of her, like in down dog, and she would like swipe on it. And I was like, man, I don't want to judge her because maybe there's like an emergency going on, because that's literally the only reason I can imagine why you would be texting in a yoga class where I can like see the sweat drip onto her phone. And then I'm distracted. I'm like, I'm in yoga, okay? I should be allowed to have 45 minutes of peace. But that was crazy to me. I was like, wow, like, again, maybe something's going on, but I actually don't think so. She didn't seem too concerned afterwards. At the end of the day, I think we're just so addicted to our phone that we can't even go to a sanctuary, a sacred place for your mind without texting at the same time.
Social media also prevents us from doing deep work.
Bing! Oh, sorry, Sam. Got a notification.
Deep Work, an excellent book by Cal
sorry, Sam. Got a notification.
Oh my God. Deep Work, an excellent book by Cal Newport. I love Cal Newport. It talks about how we need long stretches of time to get into deep work. That's the work that we find productive and meaningful in our lives. Of course, sometimes we have to do little tasks here and there, but unless we get to do that deep, long work, we don't feel that productivity, that growth in the same way.
It's so true. And it's annoying because you might have your notifications on, say, I have my notifications on my email. And I'll think that that's productive because, hey, I can respond to an important email as soon as it comes. But my phone buzzes. I look thinking it might be something important. It's not. It's another advertisement from Lululemon. And then I like start scrolling through my email. And then I switch to checking a Discord channel. And then I switch to my calendar. And the next thing you know, I forget what I was doing in the first place. If I was even in deep work, I have been pulled away from it for something that I thought was important, but was not.
Aside from the notifications,
Bing! Okay, I'm done.
Literally annoying. Aside from the notifications, the content is just getting more and more attention grabbing.
And shorter. It's getting shorter because you only have 15 seconds to entertain people.
Yes, and this makes our own attention span shorter. I watched this video by Gen Zs complaining about millennials and how when they start a video, they always breathe and they're like, hey guys, today I'm going to be talking about, and Gen Zs found this too time consuming and too obnoxious. They get into their videos right away like, I tried this cherry chapstick and it made my lips explode. Ah! It's literally insane, but if you watch it, that's what it looks like. And because of that, we're just so used to getting aggressive, stimulating content that more mundane stuff seems kind of boring, and it can be harder to maintain our attention to watch those when we're not used to that kind of content.
It's funny because you can see this because now when like popular songs come out, there's like Feathered by Sabrina Carpenter, and then there's like Feather, parentheses, sped up version, Sabrina Carpenter. I don't think anybody was on Spotify just chilling, thinking, man, I wish there was a sped up version. You know that just started trending on TikTok because people literally cannot handle Andiamo anymore.
It's so true, Michelle. I was watching this video that was talking about how people would never listen to the old school Bollywood music that we used to listen to because the intro itself is like 30 seconds long of just music. It's just like dee 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 nee 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 nee. Then it'll go into another instrumental section and probably a third before ever getting to lyrics. Like, nobody would tolerate that today.
I honestly could barely tolerate it then, so I can't even imagine. Also, I noticed that you mentioned videos twice, so I think we need to cut you off from Instagram.
This is back when I was watching videos, which I no longer am doing. And you may also notice that our social media is inactive.
You know, if you found our podcast from Instagram, please send us a message.
Please let us know. Like, if you're the one person who did, we want to know so that we know that maybe it was at least worth it a little bit. But for everybody else,
there's our newsletter.
There's our newsletter.
So the final thing is that I think with social media, you got your Instagram, you got your TikTok, you got your Facebooks. There is literally something new every single day. It prevents lulls and it prevents boredom. And I really believe, Sammy, that boredom is so important, especially because our lives get pretty busy and then we're driving to work in the morning, we're sitting in traffic, Then we are at our office, we're dealing with people all day, we come home, and then we want to turn our brains off. We're like, okay, let me just flood my brain with all this useless crap so that I can turn it off. But if you don't allow yourself to have those moments of boredom, if you don't allow yourself to have those moments where you're just like, hey, maybe I'm not that happy in my job right now. Or, I noticed that I'm feeling kind of tired. Is there something I'm doing that's maybe not aligned with a healthy lifestyle? You don't stop and think about those things, you're not going to be able to fix them.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to improve them.
Or maybe you're procrastinating. And if you procrastinate, but you're just sitting there, you're probably going to eventually start doing what you need to do.
So true.
If you're procrastinating and you get a very stimulating iPhone with all kinds of social media and infinite scroll, then you may be distracted for hours.
Exactly. Boredom is when you have insights. Or an existential crisis, which leads to insights. But sometimes you need to give yourself a little bit of time and space for those things.
So what should we do? We have answers. Some people have moderate answers like balance it. No, that's not us. We're saying get off social media as much as possible.
You know what? If you feel motivated, delete it. Deactivate it. Get rid of it. Completely. That's the most extreme. And you know what? It's not the worst thing. Both of us have gone through periods of our time we have deleted different parts of social media.
Neither of us are on Instagram. Now we're not posting on our Build a Wealthy Spirit Instagram either. We're definitely not on TikTok. We do use YouTube to watch certain videos.
Oh, girl, you even forgot about Snapchat. We haven't been on Snapchat in so long.
I don't think anybody should ever be on Snapchat ever.
I don't even know what's happening on Snapchat.
I have no idea.
Whenever anyone asks me about it, I'm like, are people still on it? I don't know. But I think maybe they are.
Facebook. I do use Facebook, but I removed every single person's feed from my profile. So all I use it for is Facebook groups, which is not that addictive.
Yeah, like sometimes it is tough. Sometimes you can't delete things, I realized, because you have to be in certain groups or you need to, for me, share and create content in other places. If you don't want to go through the process of removing every single person on your Facebook feed, there are so many extensions now that will actually just block all of your feeds. When I go on Twitter, I don't even remember that I have an Explore tab because I have an extension that just makes it disappear. And it makes my life easier because, yes, I do want to know why Nicki Minaj and Megan Thee Stallion are beefing, but I can go and read the Vox article on it. Okay, I don't need to read 1,000 tweets about it.
You can also get those extensions that limit how much time you can spend on certain applications. I would try to delete them all first that you don't need, and then maybe the ones that you do need, put a limit on them.
Or remove them from your phone. That's a big one. I actually don't have any of these apps on my phone, and I forget how much of a difference it makes. One, because I'm away from my laptop and my computer a lot, so I don't have to worry about hopping on those things when I'm hanging out with my friends or sitting in line somewhere. And also, they don't really invest a lot of money in improving the browser experience. So it's not really as addictive. If you go on Instagram on your browser, it's a pretty terrible experience. After a certain point, you're like, okay, I can't even scroll without the thing freezing and shutting down. So I guess I'm done.
Another great solution that I recently discovered is have a dummy phone. Michelle and I recently had to replace our phones because they were getting a little bit wild. Mine kept getting off the data. But turns out nobody wants my iPhone 7 Plus in an OtterBox. They're like, you can use that as a weapon to kill somebody, but do not try to give it to us.
And it does the same thing. I'm like, these phones have not really changed that much since my iPhone 8 Plus, but fine. I guess I won't sell it to Apple Store.
Yes. Since they didn't want to give me any money for it, I kept it. And it's actually a great iPod. That's right. Remember the days of iPod? I can now use my cell phone, my old cell phone, to listen to podcasts, listen to my Spotify, listen to audiobooks, things like that, without receiving any text notifications, no calls. You could remove email if email is distracting for you. So this could be literally something that you can use while keeping your phone in your room. I just keep my phone in my charger under my bed, and now maybe I'll check it every, 6 hours or so to see if I have any texts or something. But I really don't need to use it.
If you're not like me and Sammy, and you don't need to replace your phone from 2018, what you can do is turn off your notifications. That's a big one. I don't have notifications on for my emails. I don't have all my notifications on for my Discord channel. There are things that I can limit to DMs. I do get my texts, but I would love if I could control that. I do mute some chats. I have downtime built in so that after 10 p.m. I don't get any notifications. Notifications are the gateway drug to your social media usage. It's that ping.
It's true, Michelle. I was trying to drink more water and I had a drink water notification,
Wholesome.
which worked for about maybe a month. Then I would just get the notification and ignore it. But the notification would bring me back to my phone, where then I would check things on my phone. So now I removed the drink water notification. So even if you have a notification that itself doesn't take you to an application that's distracting, the notification will take you back to the phone, which could take you back to something distracting. So try to limit all the notifications that come in as much as possible.
Yeah, do a notification audit. Sometimes we notice in the back of our mind, like, DoorDash feels like they're always pinging me about really useless stuff. And then if you just take a second to actually go through your notifications, you're like, oh my gosh, I can turn this off. I don't have to hear about I can get $10 off DashMart or whatever every single time I'm not even using the app. So yeah, turn your notifications off. There's probably a lot of useless ones. And you don't need to be pinged or buzzed constantly by your phone.
Takeaways.
Takeaways for this episode.
Here's the thing. In this global economy where eyeballs and attention are the leaders of our entire world industry, we need to be mindful. The truth is, in our capitalist nation, the difference between the wealthy and the non-wealthy is whether you're a consumer or an income producer. And a surefire way to be a consumer is to give up your attention and your eyeballs to social media. This is why Michelle and I recommend dramatically getting off social media. A lot of people say use it in moderation. We understand that some people might need to use it for certain things like their businesses, and it could be useful. But
I'm on Twitter still.
Yeah, Michelle's on Twitter still. I still use Facebook groups. We get it. But for the most part, get off as much as possible. It is not helpful. It is not useful. And the more you are a person who is off these things, the more valuable you are going to be to our society as an income producer, because that is going to be such a rare trait. To be original, to have a long attention span, and to be authentic.
Exactly. And if you're afraid of losing certain things, go ahead and replace them. I have friends that are like, oh, I love following this therapist on TikTok. Okay, fine. Great. Amazing you're getting your therapy advice from TikTok. Don't get it from the 1,000 other requested videos. If you see somebody you like, I'm sure they have a podcast. I'm sure they have a book. Go find the long form medium version of that thing or that topic. Trust me, you will get so much more if you go and spend 20 minutes with that content, 30 minutes with that content, 5 hours with that information instead of 15 seconds. If you like it for 15 seconds, go and find the long form version. It will be so much more interesting. And that's not going to get mixed in with 10,000 other things, which include random people sharing their psychological advice, their financial advice, their dating advice. That stuff isn't helping anybody. If you like their content, you're like, hey, this person's an expert, go and find their book, their blog, their podcast. I promise you it probably exists.
Community time!
Before we say goodbye, it's our community time.
We had so many great comments come through for our last few episodes. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast, spending 20 to 30 to 40 minutes with us every week.
A non-algorithm based medium.
Yes, we appreciate you, and we wanted to give some shout outs to our community.
First, shout out to our mom, our mother. She listened to our last episode on the purpose of a gathering, and now she's inspired to retire and create community.
Speaking of that episode about finding purpose in creating community, Nate sent us a message. Slightly bummed we didn't get a mention of this prolific lyric about parties and purpose. Your girl wanna party with Cardi. Cardi a party in a Rari. Another good episode. I might be due for a reread of The Art of Gathering. So true. Shout out to Nate. He appreciates our musical references, our love of Cardi B, YG, people whose lyrics make frequent appearances apparently on this podcast. Because guess what? Honestly, there is some great life advice in those rap lyrics.
Personally, I feel like there are not enough rap lyrics in the financial independence media, so I really appreciate Nate noticing our efforts to bring it to the forefront.
Intentionally or unintentionally. We probably get a lot of our own personal finance advice from rap.
And shout out to Rich and Regular for calling their book Cash Out I got the reference. Yes, I love it.
Yeah, Sammy's all about that condo around her neck. And going back to our campfire episode, Kat sent us a message. Okay, I'm glad you had a good time at your campfire, but when you started talking about communal living with these people, my cult spidey senses are activated. Do I need to put Michelle Joins a Cult on my 2024 bingo card? Haha, smiley face. Love you, Kat. Thank you for looking out for me.
And Kat, we appreciate this. You know, personally, I feel like joining a financial independence cult is much better than being on social media, which is the cult where everybody stays home alone together and watches the same videos separately. Nightmare. Instead, join a communal living community surrounded by people who are interested in fun things like financial independence.
Sammy joining a cult should be on your 2025 bingo card.
Yeah, put it on every year's bingo card. New one every year.
You know, if cults didn't keep trying to upsell you, I think Sammy would be down. Unfortunately, the girl is frugal. She's in the free cults only. And you know what? A cult cannot sustain if it's free. If you're going to delete your social media, let us know, buildawealthyspirit.com. You don't need to go on any social media to engage with us. You can go on our website. You can go to our newsletter. It's literally not algorithm-based at all.
We're fully aware of this as we get each of our listeners by word of mouth.
You know what? If you enjoy Build a Wealthy Spirit, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. Actually, a lot of you do tell your friends. We have had people from Camp FI, we have had our own friends, we've had people we've met online who have told us that they have shared episodes that have inspired them, that have given them some context around a topic, Camp FI, attachment theory, the party, the purpose. If you know someone who would benefit from listening to Build a Wealthy Spirit, share this episode with them. It's so amazing to add those people to our community.
And most importantly, be sure to join us next time as we put down the rulebook and we rethink the status quo.